in a voice that could only have been described as cordial. Jamie glared at his tormentor, knowing that Pfeiffer wanted him to beg, telling him by his expression and his bearing that he'd die first. The plantation owner threw back his head and laughed, and Jamie felt a fine mist of saliva settle on his skin. "God, but you're a stubborn little mick," the old man marveled. Increase looked back at his henchman, who twittered half-heartedly at his subtle cue. Jamie knew some of those men pitied him, but instead of feeling any kinship with them, he hated the lot. Pfeiffer lifted his cane. With its handle of beautifully molded gold, he tapped Jamie's shoulder with it. "Where's that quick tongue of yours now, Mr. McKenna?" he asked, his foul breath fanning over Jamie's face and causing bile to rise in his throat. Jamie swallowed and said nothing, and his gaze remained steady, defiant. His message was clear enough, he knew. It said, "Go to hell," and Pfeiffer understood. "The whip," the planter grated out, infuriated, extending one hand. Someone came forward with the coil of black leather, and Pfeiffer made a point of unfurling it with a sharp crack. He was skillful with the lash. Even when there was no punishment to be meted out, he often practiced for hours at a time. The rich man stepped back, out of sight, and again Jamie heard the whip crack. His stomach muscles tensed. He forced himself to let them go slack. The others had told him that it would hurt less that way. The first lash weakened Jamie's knees. The pain was like fire raging across his sunburned back. He made himself think of his brother, Reeve, and of the old days in Ireland, as he listened to the whip being drawn back with a whoosh, and then heard it slicing through the thick air again. Sweat beaded on his forehead and upper lip as the strip of leather lacerated his flesh a second time. But he did not cry out. Not one lash or 1,000 could make him do that. He counted 10 more biting slashes before the summer air went dark, and his legs refused to support him any longer. The sun was low on the horizon when Jamie regained consciousness. He was still bound to the tree, though he'd slipped to his knees, and Peony was sawing frantically at his bonds with a kitchen knife. Jamie's back was ablaze with pain, and the tree bark had scraped one side of his face raw. His throat was all but swollen shut, and the smell and taste of blood made his stomach churn. "Go away," he managed to croak. Tears were streaming down Peony's cheeks. "Just shut up, Jamie McKenna," she said, slicing at the thick rope. "We've no time to argue. I don't know if the blaze caught properly or not." When his bonds gave way, Jamie rolled to the ground, unable to hold himself upright. He was disoriented. The earth felt spongy beneath him, and the sky seemed to have fallen in, thick and smothering. "Left you here to die, he did," Peony prattled to herself. "Boar's bait, that's what he called you. The devil's waiting for that old man in hell's front parlor, I'll tell you that." Jamie heard the knife thump against the ground, felt her efforts to lift him to his feet. "I've got a place to hide you," she said, breathing hard from the struggle. "If you'll just get up." Nausea roiled in Jamie's stomach, so ferocious was the pain. At great cost, he turned his head away from Peony and vomited. She stroked the back of his head until the violent spasms of sickness had ceased, then began pulling at him again and yammering, "Jamie, please! You've got to get up! You've just got to!" "I can't," he rasped, willing himself to die. As broken as he was, Jamie felt the fury surge through Peony's body, just as though the two of them were linked somehow, sharing the same emotions. "I thought you had more courage than that," she cried. "Maybe